Welcome to episode 6 of Book Nerd Paradise, where we get to know an author a little bit as they tell us their favorite quote, read from their work, pose a trivia question, and give away a book or two. Hello, I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. This is Book One. The eBook is available for free download, so be sure to take advantage of that today. Book Nerd Paradise promises to introduce you to authors new to you. And so today we welcome YA fantasy author A.R. Cook as our guest. A.R. is a graduate of the University of Iowa, where she studied English literature and theater with a focus on playwriting. While there, 6 of her short plays and 1 full-length children's play were produced. Several of A.R.'s short stories have been awarded honorable mentions in various magazines, including Writer's Digest. She's the author of The Scholar and the Sphinx YA fantasy series. The second book in the series, The Scholar, the Sphinx, and the Fang of Fenrir, was released last December. Welcome, A.R.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. Since you'll be reading from The Scholar, the Sphinx, and the Fang of Fenrir, would you give us a brief synopsis?
Historical fiction takes place in 1852, but it incorporates a lot of different world mythologies. So the first book introduces us to David Sandoval, years old. He's from Spain. He goes on a journey through a mystical veil called the Curtain. And through this veil, he meets a sphinx who needs his help in order to free herself from a curse placed on her by a night goddess. And that's in book 1. So book 2, the wolf that is destined to devour the world. That's from Norse mythology. He's broken free of his prison, and the Sphinx, named Acacia, she has something of his that he needs. And so he's after her, and David has to learn how to defend her, how to defend himself from Fenrir.
With that as a backdrop, what will you be giving away?
You'll get book 1 and book 2. And that way you'll be all prepared for book 3 in November of this year.
Ah, that's awesome. The paperbacks of book 1 and book 2 to one lucky winner. That's awesome. So enter to win. All you need to do is leave a comment on YouTube. Liking the episode isn't going to enter you, so be sure to leave just a short, quick comment about what, and you'll be all set and entered into the giveaway. So A.R., you've selected one of your favorite quotes. What is it and why?
This is one that's always stuck with me because I love Neil Gaiman. He's one of my favorite authors. I love both his books. So something he quoted was, "May your coming year be filled with magic and dreams and good madness." I hope you read some fine books and kiss someone who thinks you're wonderful. And don't forget to make some art. Write or draw or build or sing or live as only you can. Like I said, I like the good madness part because I think all writers are about making art in whatever way you will, whether it's writing or drawing or building. That is kind of the essence of life. Life is more than just working and eating a little something. So that's what speaks to me.
What part of The Scholar, the Sphinx, and the Fang of Fenrir will you be reading to us today?
Kind of looks like that. And this is the part where David he's gone to visit an old friend who's a master huntsman because he knows he needs help taking down Fenrir. He's done it for a long, long time. He's somebody actually in the first story. So he's gone to train with him a little bit. So this scene is David's just gone out to help with some of the farm work. Golan lives on a farm. He goes into the stable to help feed the horse. Fenrir's in the stable. Fenrir's hunted him down. It's that scene of finally meeting Fenrir for the first time. David took a deep breath, and his words crept out from his mouth as timid mice. He pulled out and he licked it across his lips. David noticed the wolf was missing one of his fangs, exposing an empty notch in his gums. I smell the scent of one of the old ones, the one I did not consume in the ageless ocean, She is of magic, and she must be the one causing this pain in my teeth. Where is she? Mask her scent as it had masked his. Why hadn't she? Didn't she know that Fenrir would, or did she only have enough magic to provide the scent masking for one person? I don't know who you're talking about, David said. Fenrir lowered his muzzle so close to David's face that David nearly passed out from the wolf's breath. You cannot lie to me. You know who I am. She must have told you about me. Is she in the house, or is this another trick? Has she planted her pieces? David wished he hadn't left his sword and dagger beneath his mattress in his room. He had nothing that would catch him before he could take a step to run. All he could think to do was stall for time. You don't seem as narrowed his eyes. We have met, not face to face, but the Fenrir's teeth I saw were much bigger. You can't be him. The wolf leaned back, his head hanging wearily. My size depends on my strength. I've been imprisoned for more lifetimes than you could count, so it takes much out of me to get to my true size. Once I have reclaimed what was taken from me, I will have my full strength and will be my again. What are you looking for? Fenrir glared at David. You are a kind soul. It makes others feel welcome to confide in you. You would charm secrets from a corpse. Such men who are easy to talk to are dangerous. You couldn't possibly see me as a danger to you. Fenrir snarled. There was an immortal like you once. He too had a silver tongue, and I trusted him. He betrayed me. I no longer assume anyone is safe, no matter how small or weak. But I saw your teeth through the walls of Jared's house. Someone who could do that surely wouldn't be afraid of any mortal man. Fenrir was quiet, and then he nodded. You were there with the ones. Yes, there was the scent of a young one, the one whose thoughts I smelled. You were thinking about the Sphinx. The Sphinx! She's more important than the old one. Where is she? David gasped, struggling beneath what was pressing down on him. What do you want with her? If you've been imprisoned all these years, then there's nothing she could have done to you to deserve your anger. She has what belongs to me. One of Fenrir's claws scratched against, not quite breaking the skin, but leaving a painful red line. I was immediately drawn to the scent of your thoughts, because they reek of how much you care for her. Does she care for you as much? If I tear off pieces of you and scatter them to every corner of the earth, will that bring her to me? No, that will bring me to you, erupted a thundering voice from the other side of the stable. There was an ear-shattering explosion, and David watched as something blasted right into Fenrir's eye. Fenrir reeled back with a howl, removing his paw from the stable wall. The ceiling shook, threatening to fall through from the impact of Fenrir's weight. Run, Gullin called. He came running from the stable entrance, holding what appeared to be a flintlock in his hands. David scrambled to his feet, and Gullin grabbed him and pulled him along to escape. You had a gun this whole time? David asked as they ran. Gullin shook his head. That's barely going to stun him. If bullets and gunpowder could kill monsters like that, the huntsman would have been out of business centuries ago. He shoved David towards the house. Get your blades. I'll lead him off towards the fields. But your wife and son, they're fine. Ruse gathered them, and he's taking them to safety. Now go. David shook his head. I'm not leaving you with. I've got a couple more ones in here. You better be back by the time I'm done firing them. David bolted towards the house while Gullin headed off towards the fields. As David crashed through the back door, Fenrir charging out of the stable, ripping through the wooden support beams and tearing up the ground with his claws. His teeth were bared, his ears back, his eyes searching for his prey. Gullin fired another shot at Fenrir. It grazed the wolf's shoulder, and the monster barreled down on Gullin, who David scrambled through the house to his room, reaching beneath the bed with his sword and dagger. He dashed back outside to hear 2 more gunshots ring out in the morning. David pumped his legs with all his strength, flying across the ground towards the mass of black fur that was looming over Gullin. The Scotsman dropped his gun and drew his sword from the scabbard on his belt. Fenrir bristled all over, enraged to be challenged by this tiny mortal. You're the big bad wolf, Gullin scoffed. You seem more like a runt to me. Fenrir gnashed his teeth at Gullin, and the man's sword slashed at the wolf in warning. You stink of the blood of hundreds of my kindred, Fenrir said, but you're just a lonely man. That's exactly what your two pups thought, Gullin replied. Apparently they were as big-headed as their father. Fenrir halted. Gullin's face set in a hard, frozen grimace. The two stared at each other, with their eyes alone. Gullin broke the silence. You haven't been locked up so long you don't remember your own pups? What were their names again? Scroll and Haiti, I think. My sons, Fenrir hissed. 2 years old, Gullin hissed back, and I was more than honored to make it that way. A fury was enough to crack the heavens. The mouth itself would have closed shut and run if it had seen Fenrir's anger. David panicked, imagining Gullin's head being bitten off in one clean chomp. He waved his sword in the air over his head, shouting, "Over here! I'm the one you want, you oversized dog!" The wolf paid him no heed. He lunged forward, but Gullin ducked and rolled out of the way. Fenrir's paw caught him down, pressing Gullin into the earth. The beast lowered his maw, his teeth wrapping around, and clutched his sword together loudly as he could. "Face me!" Fenrir cringed, his back and his jaw locking. He lifted his head and looked over at David, his ears perking forward. He felt something sticky on his hand. Looking down, he saw that his dagger was bleeding. A reddish liquid dripped from the hilt onto his hand. Fenrir sniffed the air in anticipation. He flashed his teeth, and David could see the notch where Fenrir was missing his fang. It was oozing the same reddish liquid as the dagger. "You tricked me, thief!" He went blank as the wolf charged straight at him, mouth wide open, revealing the endless tunnel of his throat in which David was going to plunge down in mere moments. He held his up in defense, but they were no more than toothpicks compared to the wolf's mouthful of spears. His heart stopped beating as the bloody teeth prepared to snap on him. And you'll have to read the rest to find out what happens.
Boy, what a place to leave the action. Oh boy, I don't know. That was mean. Last week, Kirsten Pouliot posed a trivia question. So what was it and what is the answer?
Thank you. Last week, I asked, what was the name of the main Ent in Lord of the Rings? And the answer is Treebeard.
AR, you have a trivia question for us. What?
In the fantasy novel, Seraphina, the main character is half human and half something else. What is that something else?
Ooh, that's a good one. We are going to wait until next episode to reveal the answer. If your book budget is a bit short, but you're longing for another great fantasy read, the Dragon Writers Collection is a free ebook anthology from 9 fantasy authors that's sure to satisfy. Included are the following complete works: 2 books from Tom Bylowski, The Centaurus Legacy, a Heck Thomas thriller, and A Tide of Shadows, Book One of the Chronicles of Lars. The first 2 parts of Morgan Rich's epic science fantasy, Incorrigible, Secrets Past and Present, are also included. That's right, both Entrapments and Seeking are included. Rule of Thumb by Scott Bogman. Call of the Herald by Brian Rathbone, as well as Wayward Spirits, the prequel to the World of Godsland's epic fantasy series. A Dwarf with No Name by D.P. Pryor from his Nameless Dwarf series. Secrets of the Moonstone Heir by A.R. Cook. This work is available only in this anthology. Nicholas Taylor's Legion Awakening, Book One in the Legion series. And The Hero, the Sword, and the Dragons, Book One in the 10-book The Chronicles of Dragons series by Craig Halloran. Download the Dragon Writers Collection, an anthology packed with riveting fantasy and adventure from Amazon or Google Play today. Well, AR, any last thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
For those who are writers out there who are interested in getting into fantasy writing or any other kind of writing, just keep being persistent. I know a lot of people come to me, they get disappointed or they start to lose patience when they keep sending things out and they get rejection letters or no responses. but writing is 99% persistence and dedication. So I just encourage you to keep writing and keep doing what you love.
Good thought. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know A.R. Cook. I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. So don't forget, the ebook of Book One, Blast of the Dragon's Fury, is available free for download on Amazon. So be sure to get your copy today. Be sure to tune in for the next episode, when in honor of the launch of the fourth book of the Andy Smithson series, Resurrection of the Phoenix's Grace, I will interview myself. The book launches April 27th, and it's actually available for pre-order right now on Amazon. So go ahead and pre-order a copy so you don't miss a minute. Thanks so much for watching.